I smiled before I even realized what I was saying. "You're like family to me," I told him. My voice carried a light, playful tone, but beneath it, there was something I wasn't fully ready to admit. His eyes shifted for a brief moment, something unreadable passing over his face. He gave a small nod, finished his drink, and quietly said, "Thanks." Then he stood up and left. No scene, no argument, just the sound of his footsteps fading away behind him. And in that instant, something deep inside me cracked. If you ever wonder whether words can change everything, even the ones you speak without thinking, they absolutely can. It started that one Friday evening. We met at a little tapas bar downtown, nothing fancy, just good food and familiar company. He was my brother's childhood friend, someone who had been part of my life for as long as I could remember. He knew every embarrassing story from my teenage years, every moment I thought was long forgotten. We talked and laughed, reminiscing over old memories while sharing garlic shrimp and sangria. And somewhere in between the laughter and the comfort, I felt something shift. He had always felt like a constant, protective, dependable, someone who always showed up without being asked. That night didn't feel any different. Or at least, that's what I tried to tell myself. As we talked, I found myself opening up to him. I shared my recent breakup, how chaotic my apartment had become, and how exhausted I felt from work. He listened without judgment. No interruptions. No advice I hadn't asked for. Just quiet understanding and genuine presence. And as the night unfolded, I noticed the way he looked at me, softer, warmer. He leaned in ever so slightly when I spoke. His eyes lingered when I laughed. And suddenly, I felt something more than friendship, something I wasn't ready to acknowledge. But I didn't want to feel sparks. I wanted the safety of what we had. And so I spoke before my heart had a chance to stop me. I smiled, paused briefly, and said, "You know, you're like family, like a brother." For a moment, his face shifted. The warmth dimmed, replaced by something distant. The words I chose, though meant to protect, had clearly landed in a way I didn't anticipate. He lifted his glass, took a long, slow sip, and finally set it down. Then, with a quiet steadiness, he said, "No pressure." And just like that, he stood up and walked away. I sat there, frozen. My heart pounded as I stared at the empty space where he'd been sitting. No dramatic exit. No angry words. Just silence. When morning came, I sat alone at my kitchen table, replaying every moment of that night. The laughter, the ease between us, the words I'd used to push him away. Was I protecting him? Protecting myself? Or was I simply too afraid to be vulnerable? I checked my phone constantly in the days that followed. No messages, no missed calls. His name was absent. I told myself he was probably busy. Maybe he just needed some time. But deep down, I knew the truth. I had made him feel like he didn't belong, like he wasn't wanted, and worse, like he never could be. Life moved on, but I felt like I was treading water. I went on dates, attended brunches, stayed busy with friends. But the silence weighed heavier than I expected. I hadn't just lost a friend. I had let go of something that might have been far more. Weeks later, I saw him again at a mutual friend's gathering. Across the room, he stood laughing with someone else, effortlessly alive and completely himself. My stomach twisted. I realized I missed his laughter more than anything. I missed how he made me feel seen. For a moment, I considered walking over, but I froze. I didn't recognize myself anymore, too afraid, too uncertain. So I stayed in the background, quietly watching as he slipped further from my life. Later that night, I called my friend. "He's here," she said. "He looks happy." That word, happy, echoed in my mind. It didn't hurt because he was gone. It hurt because I never gave him the chance. I chose safety over honesty. I chose a label over possibility. And that night, I sacrificed something beautiful simply because I was too afraid to admit how much I cared. I sat down, heart pounding, and typed out a message to him. "Hey, I've been thinking about that night. I used the wrong words. I wasn't trying to push you away. I just didn't know how to handle how much I cared. I'm sorry." I stared at the message for what felt like hours. My thumb hovered over the send button, but I never pressed it. Maybe he had already moved on. Maybe my apology would only sound empty now. Or maybe this silence was the consequence of my fear. And so I left the message unsent. I learned something through all of this. Words carry weight, even the ones you say without thinking. Sometimes, comfort feels safer than love, but safety isn't always what you need. Missing out on what could have been hurts more than rejection ever will. If you ever called someone just a friend when you felt more, stop. Don't let fear decide for you. Vulnerability may be terrifying, but regret is heavier. That night, it wasn't that I didn't love him. I simply lacked the courage to say it. And he didn't stay to convince me or wait for me to change. He left because I didn't open the door. And in that silence, I learned the cost of letting fear write your story.